You don't need fancy design software to make stunning YouTube thumbnails, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that using Kittl. Kittl has everything you need, from free to use images, stunning, beautiful fonts, illustrations, graphics, and so much more. And you can get started for free when you sign up using the link down in the description. So once that's done, let's go ahead and dive in and make our own YouTube thumbnail. So to get started with our thumbnail tutorial, I have got some notes here so that I make sure I am right on the topic. So we are using an education style topic for this YouTube thumbnail. I want something with school supplies in it. I want to make sure I use big bold text so that people can read it, especially on a mobile device. I want to use some sort of bright or highlight color, and of course we need this to be 1280 by 720 pixels. That is the YouTube thumbnail size. And then our title here is how to study more in less time. So I'm just going to drag all of this and move it over here on the side of the board. We don't really need it. It's just a guiding light for what we're going to be doing. And so then I can hit the W button so I can just focus on the artboard. So let's get started with changing our size. So we're going to put in 1280, and then for the height we're going to be 720, and we're in pixels. So if I hit enter, boom, that is good to go. And so what we're going to do is use an image as the basis for our thumbnail. So if I go over here to the photos panel, I can search different keywords, and you can see here I've already searched education. If I take this away, it will show me just trending photos. But if we type in our topic, which is education, a bunch of different things are going to come up. And so maybe if we used this one, we could make it bigger, and I could see it being cool with the books on the left and then text over here on the right. But I'm not really okay with all of those colors, so to speak. A bunch that you could use, of course, you could maybe overlay this with a color or something like that. This chalk could be cool with some text underneath it. But another thing that we wanted to make sure we had was school supplies. So this one right here with colored pencils could be cool, but this catches my eyes right here. I think it's a really nice, high quality photo. So let's work with this one, and I really like how the school supplies is coming over here from the left side. So now what we can do is size this up. I'm going to zoom out with the minus key, and I'm going to make sure that this is filling the entire space, the whole 1280 by 720 space. And then we can use our little center buttons over here just to make sure everything's aligned. And then I can make sure that this is going where I want and make sure it fills out space nicely. So this is a really nice basis for the background of our thumbnail. I think it's really cool, high quality. It gives this coming out of the side, kind of like a flat lay photo effect, which is going to be perfect. Now, let's get started with our text. So if I hit the T button, we have text here, and I want to change this to be white so that we can see it. And we are going to get started with our title design. Image elements over here on the left, we're going to have text over here on the right. And so what I want to do is just start by getting a sans serif font. So I want something really nice, high, legible, maybe something condensed. So if we go to the sans serif font, I've already used one called Babus New recently. So if I click that one, I think this is going to be really nice, and it captures your attention. It is a nice headline style font. So let's start with this. So our title is going to be how to study more in less time. So for the first line, I think it's okay for it to just be how to. Then you can hold the Alt or Option key and drag downward to duplicate your text. So then this one is going to be study more. And then if it's too much, we can just grab this little anchor over here on the side, drag it till it fits, and then I'll hit Alt or Option key to drag again, and then this is in less time. Now we have all of our workings here. I want all of this to be left justified, and then what I can do is I can select all of them. You can hold shift and click to select everything at once, and then I'm going to make sure that they're all left, and it looks like they are. So now what we can do is play with our spacing to see how big we can get this text, because we want people to be able to see it on mobile. Hey, real quick, if you're getting value out of this thumbnail tutorial, let me know by hitting the thumbs up button and that red subscribe button. Then let me know down in the comments, did you just start a YouTube channel, or are you just wanting to upgrade your thumbnails and you've been doing a channel for a while? Either way, I'd love to know, so comment below and let's start the conversation. All right, let's get back to the tutorial. Now it looks like there's a couple of things over here that might interfere. That's okay, I can just drag this image a little bit and then drag it downward so that maybe this pencil is coming down just a bit and we have some more space for our text here on the right. So this is looking pretty good. Maybe it's a tad too big. You can play with this to get it exactly how you want it, but I think this spacing is looking pretty good. Now, the next component that we need is something to highlight. And so remember I said I wanted to use some sort of highlight color, and I think what might be really cool for that is like a paint or smudge mark. So if I go over to the elements and go over to the abstract section here, I can scroll down into these stains and brush strokes. And then what we're going to do is actually use study more as our powerful focal point and put a brush mark behind it and change the color. So I like this one. I think this one might be working really well. And so then if I go to the object color, I can use the eyedropper tool to select another color in this image. So I really like this ice cream cone color here. It might be a little bit dark, and that's okay. We just need to drag it up so that we can start working with this focal point, this highlight section. So I'm going to select the text here in the back, right click, and I'm going to bring it to the front so that it sits on top of that mark. And that looks pretty cool. Now the mark I think is a little bit too dark. So what we can just do is grab that color and just make it a little bit brighter so that it stands out a little bit more. Now another thing we can do to kind of separate this text and make it look like it's bouncing off the board a little bit better is one, to increase spacing. We could increase some spacing here just to give it a little bit more depth. So let's go ahead and increase some letter spacing just a little bit, so it just makes it a little bit more optically better to read. And then what we can do is add some drop shadow. I think that's going to work really nicely. So we're going to add some blur. We're just going to make sure that this is dark, and then we are going to increase the offset to make sure that it is just coming off of the section there a little bit better. So we're increasing the blur, we're making sure that it's dark, and so boom, you can see that that's kind of popping off. It might be hard to see on this one, but on something like this backdrop right here, it's really easy to see. So we're just going to go through that, make sure that the blur is really nice and big. We'll make sure, so boom, it's popping off. Everything is looking good there. And so now let's adjust our illustration just a little bit. I want it to be take up a little bit more space and be a little bit more front and center. And then I think maybe we have just a bit too much drop shadow going on right here. I think something like that is a little bit better, and it's just, yeah, a little bit optically better to see, and so that you can read this text easily. Now what we might want to do is add some texture. So if we go over here to this texture, we have so many different options. We have grunge, we have paper, we have patterns, but I think a simple grain texture might really bring this together. So if I add this grain texture, boom, you can see that it's kind of being baked into this. But I think this is a little bit too dark, so you can play with the blending modes over here and you can go through them and see what they look like. Overlay is cool, maybe soft light is really nice. So now this is a lot more vibrant, and then we can play with our opacity slider to get it to somewhere that we feel is nice. And so if we take it off, that's the original photo, but look what happens when I start dragging it up. It becomes much more vibrant, much more bright, a lot more in the YouTube thumbnail niche, and so I think this is looking pretty good. So once you're feeling good about your thumbnail design, don't forget to come up here and label it. So we're going to label this just education video thumbnail, and that way we don't forget it and we can easily search it in Kittl. Then we can go over here to download, and something like PNG or JPEG is going to be perfect for your YouTube thumbnail. So here is our completed YouTube thumbnail design made in Kittl and ready for us to upload for our YouTube video. Well, that's all for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that Kittl helps you out. Now be sure to check out some of these other videos right here on my right, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that red subscribe button so you don't miss any of the upcoming tutorials and videos we post here on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, create magic.